Greetings one and all, I hope you're well. The Earthworks SR117. Before I begin, just to let you know I'm using an Earthworks Ethos here with an Icon Pro grill without that foam because it seems to make it just that little bit clearer, and I'm kind of using this as a reference for other microphones, so obviously I wanted to be as clear as possible. I hesitated about using another Earthworks mic, but I thought, interestingly, I haven't got anything else that's as, if you like, honest. So that's what I want, my voice as honestly as possible here. So any other mic, you can hear what it does. Of course, this has got its own thing to some extent going on, as every mic must have. Anyway, that's that. Now, the 117. How did I come by it? Well, I have some Earthworks mics, as some of you know, and I saw that they'd released this one at a reasonable price. Well, the least expensive of any of their mics, I believe, by some margin. And Studio Care had it for £238. So I duly bought it, and it arrived the next day. Here it is. I've done an unboxing video which you can look at, so I'll just show you briefly. This is the sleeve in which the box comes in, which we're going to look at later because it's got some information on it. I'll put it on the screen in a moment. And then the box, which you might have seen from the unboxing, it has all very simple. It's got a K&M clip without an insert. Well, most stands I've got require the insert. As it happens, I have many inserts lying around, so to save the planet something, I guess. But it might be a little inconvenient for some of you if you haven't got that and you're looking forward to it, and it turns up and you want to use it and haven't got one. Though they're around and about, you can always take them out of another clip or whatever. I don't know what to say about that, really. It does save superfluous stuff and a few bits of paper, which I can't read without my monocle, but says thank you, nothing particularly important, just standard stuff, and a little bit of bubble wrap in there. So actually very simple, all cardboard, nothing fancy, well made nonetheless, well cut. So what more do you want already? Fine. What the manufacturer says. Well, says bits and bobs on the sleeve, which you'll see. The main thing down the bottom, apart from the response, which we're going to look at, and the polar pattern, is sounds like life. Okay, more on that later. I went to the website, which you can do, Earthworks Audio. What did they say there? The SR117 has the power and quality of a condenser with the safety and function and familiarity of a dynamic. Power and quality. Yes, with a safety. I didn't realise some things were unsafe. I don't know if they're talking about, I was going to say unplugging it and you get those pops with the condenser, but you're going to get that with this as well. So I don't know what the safety is, but maybe I'm missing something anyway. Exceptional plosive protection. We'll have a look. Extremely high gain before feedback. Can't really do that here. I may as well say now because I'll forget. I've used it live. I've used this mic way more than any other mic I've reviewed. I used this mic way more before reviewing it than any of the other mics that I've reviewed. So I'd use them a bit to satisfy myself, to get to know, and then do the test here. But this one I've used a lot with various people through various systems. Extremely high gain before feedback. I didn't really have any feedback problems compared to any other mic. Neither did I really notice a particular advantage. So I'll just say, okay. Balanced frequency response. Well, we can see the chart, but what's the reality? Again, from my experience of using it, it reminded me just a little, I used it with various people in class, a little of the SV33 in that when I know it's a studio mic, but when I used that, when I first got it some years ago, I took it on a gig, would you believe? Because you can. It was a quiet-ish gig. And I remember wondering if it was on a lot of the time, even on the video playback, because I couldn't really hear microphones so much. So when I was singing, when I switched it off, I realised it was on. So it was the mic wasn't amplifying my voice, but the voice was picking up my voice and being amplified. And it was difficult to tell it from just hearing it around the room, bouncing off the walls, my voice and so on. So I had a little bit of that, and I think that's to do with not having any peaks here and there, whereas when you switch the mic on, you can immediately tell that the mic's on because you start to hear that coming through. Well, you start to hear a lot of that coming through. With this, I noticed a few times, oh yeah. With that in mind, if that's the case, I'll leave you to listen later, but from my experience that was the case, therefore this would need to be a little bit louder in the mix. Because when you get that poking through the music, you know the voice is there and you can hear it and all that high-end stuff. But when you haven't got that, then maybe the whole thing needs to be a bit, you'll have more of the completeness of the voice in the mix, so you might need to have it a little bit louder. So that might depend on what kind of music you're doing, but you can EQ it. I try to remember to use a bit of EQ later. Oh, I've got it down here. So it says at home, in arenas and home studios. I would say yes, I used it for recording as well. And I've got to say, folks, well, it's only the Earthworks ones really that I can say, because there's so many mics I haven't got them. But I'm pretty happy using them for recording, really. I'm pretty happy. Anyway, remind me to fiddle about with the EQ, because I'm not much of an EQ person, but I'm starting to fiddle about because you might want to as well. Let's get straight into it then. The frequency response, so I'm going to put this on screen, I'm reading it off here. Very, very good to have it on here, I think, all this stuff, so it's minimal wastage really. Well, when I look at it, I'm going to put this light on next. Wow. So basically they're saying pretty much flat from 20 hertz to just below 10. What's that? That's one, yeah, just below 10, and a little just below 10 it drops off a bit, and then there's a bump starting just before 10 and finishing a little after, is that about 12? And then it tails off. I think they do say somewhere 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. With speakers back in the day when I was into hi-fi speakers and so on, there started to become a bit of a rule, which was that you state it within plus or minus 3 dB, because within 3 dB up or above, human ear doesn't really hear much. So otherwise, so I don't know. So obviously it doesn't go to 20. I wouldn't say, well, it does if you like, but it's down 10 dB, which is significant at 20, but who's going to hear? I can't up there, I'm pretty sure. And down the other end, goes down to 20, seems to go down there flat. Maybe it does. They don't put a proximity trace, which I'm quite interested in, because you know, as you get closer like this, the bass tends to get boosted, which can be useful for voiceover things, and can be useful for the kind of singing I do, where I tend to mess around a bit, but for the average singer, maybe not. Anyway, I'd quite like that for microphone manufacturers to have the plus or minus 3 dB and keep the proximity trace in there. Why not? Can't be that difficult, surely. Maybe they don't want to. Fit, finish, feel and cable. I'm going to have a look close up in a minute, as you can imagine. In fact, may as well just do that from close up. But from here, you can see, hopefully I'll have to bring it right close to my eyes because it likes to focus on me, bless it. So it's what? Pretty much the same size as an FM58. Better to see that from above. Just before I do that, make sure this is muted. This is a Neutrik, modern Neutrik connector. A bit of a pop there, but it's muted, but it still has a bit of a pop. So let's see. Very good. Yeah, that's what I like. Whilst we're at it, this is an American one, I think. Can't remember what it is. It's not Switchcraft, it's the other, might be, I don't know. Or maybe it's even Canon. Might be another little pop. Yeah, wow. Just a little bit firmer than the Neutrik. The Neutrik has a rubber ring around there, which you can just push up against. This one has sort of rubber stuff there. I don't know if you can see. Anyway, that's that bit. Let's have a look from above and get closer and closer to actually hearing it, which I'm sure is what you want. So I'll see you in a moment. I mean no offence, but I wasn't sure I could trust you to remind me about the EQ So I put a little note there. Hopefully I'll remember later. So here we are, and you can see, well, very close in terms of size. Pretty similar. In terms of weight, maybe slightly heavier, but then I thought the other way around. Oh, it's my hand. I suspect slightly heavier, but not really anything in it. You've seen this perhaps on the unboxing, but to save you going back and looking, I'll just show you. So, not that much to see really. In terms of this, let me put it next to the mic. It's the body. It's very well damped. Don't know if you can hear the grill. A little bit of that going on there. The bag, it comes with a bag. Eminently usable, I would say. Let me show you. Which way around shall I do it? I'm going to do it this way round because of the tag. I'm not sure what the tag's about, but I said that before. Nice enough. And you see when it drops in, it drops there, which is fine. Anything, I know I go on about bags, but the only thing that with that is that obviously when you put your hand in to get it, you do that, which tends to shorten it a bit. And then it's just a little bit tight there to come out. And then have to negotiate that. So, well, it's nice to have. Just a little bit more there would be make it easier, perhaps. Padded. Good embroidery. I don't know if it's embroidery or what you call it. Embroidery sounds frightfully old-fashioned. And we've got a little tag there. I don't know what the tag's about. Is that so you can grip it, but it's not really enough. Focus. There we go. So, fine. I keep it in that, and I use that. I have to say once again, you know, that seems to me the way to do it is like this. Job done. Round to the side, you notice. Anyway. It's a little bit deeper than it needs to be, perhaps. Well, that's enough about that. Right then. I've done this before, but I'll do it again. We've seen this in a number of the Earthworks mics. There's a mesh there for dispersing the pops, I imagine, pretty sure. And inside here, there is foam, which you won't be able to see. And all the way round, and then there's a bulbous bit which comes down there, so it's right at the centre there. It's slightly thicker, I can feel. It's like a swelling there for the pops. This you've seen before, but I'll show you again. Another grill across the top of the diaphragm there, which is really rather small. You can see through there just the wires going up to the diaphragm, which appears to be there. It's all very nicely done. I mean, can you complain about anything, really? Interestingly, there isn't, detectably for me, any play or suspension of any kind. Sometimes they work this way. But I don't want to press any harder than that. And I can't really, I'm not aware of anything moving, so I don't know. Threads are good. Could be closer, but not really from, you're not talking about an engine or something, are you really? Because it's you're not going to be doing this every day, and it feels fine. and it tightens up. There isn't a gasket there, but there is once it grips and you turn just a little bit more, it's as if something just beds down. So I imagine that's going to keep it very secure with vibration and so on. Like it's going to rattle off. Nothing more to say, really. I mean, can you complain about anything? Either you like it or you don't, or you're in between, just in terms of style, but that's the same with anything. In terms of construction, nothing to complain about whatsoever. Well, I've balanced everything up as best. Usually ends up doing a bit of tweaking. But let me see what I notice immediately. What do I notice immediately? Ethos with the icon grill. What do I notice immediately? 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 I notice that the background hiss is a different tone, lower, which I hadn't spotted before. In terms of noise, which I'm going to come on to later, it's very difficult for me to say because it's not a great, it's okay, it does for this, for stage stuff, desk, but who knows whether it's what it is, whether it's the preamps in there. They're meant to be good. It's a Mackie Pro 8, FX8 or something anyway. So I don't know, if I notice anything particularly noisy, like one of the AKGs, that really puts its head above the parapet, I can be pretty sure it's the mic. What do I notice immediately on the Ethos? What do I notice immediately moving back? What do I notice immediately? What do I notice immediately? Well, both being Earthworks, I suppose, but what am I to do? There is a difference to me. This is the 117 Ethos. So to me, very kind of similar, but that's more open to my ears. It's just got a bit more of that, which could be, I mean, I could put the foam back on and see, is it the foam in there that's doing that? Oh, am I going to take the top off already? We've only just started. Okay, being very careful and keeping the inner mesh on, because that's got some mesh as well, or something. 117. 117. Ethos. Ethos. So it seems to me, I'll listen back, the foam has an effect. So if you were going to use it in a studio, depends what you want. You might want to remove that. And perfectly, seems to me, usable in a studio. You're going to use it with the foam on because you're buying it for live. So it seems to me a very similar sound to them, if they've got a sound at all, of course. So that's what I noticed immediately. Not a lot from the Ethos, but just after a while, just a little bit more contained, if you like. How am I invited to phonate or sing? Phonate means speech sounds. I looked it up. Well, there's nothing to me that kind of sticks out. And nothing that to me that seems to, that I'm drawn to. It's just like it's open, really. If I'm doing things there, I'm doing things there. If you're doing voiceover, kind of doing things there, doing things there, yes, doing things there, yes, Ethos, doing things there, yes, doing things there. So the Ethos has got a bit more as I get closer there, I feel can you hear that's firmer, So the Ethos has got a bit more something. So yeah, what I'm thinking is it's designed for stage, and to me it sounds like stage. It's a little bit more contain, depending on what you want to do, of course. I like to have the whole thing myself, but then I'm mostly using my own PAs and it's smaller stuff, smaller venues and so on. So yeah, what did they say? They said something about a dynamic with the safety. I don't know what the safety is about, and functionality of a dynamic. Well, it hasn't quite got the functionality because it needs phantom power. So there, but yeah, there's something about that in there. So it's not so obviously condensory, if you like. What next? Before I go on to the hiss, breath, and tones and proximity and so on and so forth, I've got my sign with EQ written there, so let me do that now. What you might find then is that maybe everything I said earlier needs to be a bit louder to cut through stuff, to be above it, because if you're doing that with the microphone, then that tends to cut through things, but then you lose the rest of it, of course. Everything might need to be just that little bit more, but let me show you what it's like with the EQ. This is just a rough, only a 3-band thing. This is 12 kilohertz, I believe, turning up the 12 kilohertz there. So if you wanted a bit more up the top there, but then that gets a little, turning it up to about plus halfway to the maximum of what it can do. So that's what that gives you there. That's what that gives you there. That's what that gives you there, taking it down a bit. That's what that gives you there. Do I feel I need any of that? Maybe if I wanted a little bit of that Neumann KMS 105 feel to it, then I could do that and then bring it a bit closer so I get the warmth underneath. So if you want to do some boosting, if you want to like that kind of thing, here it is coming back to flat now, coming back to flat. Now it's flat. Does it sound disappointing to you? Let's go to the middle, which I think is 2.5. Now coming to the middle, coming to the middle, coming to the middle there. Sorry about the pots. Coming to the middle, that's about halfway up there. That adds a bit of that quack. So take it down a bit. In the middle, there. That's down a bit, but you can hear, still got that kicking there a little bit. Take it back to flat. There it is flat. If I take it off there, then not very attractive, I don't think. Depends what you want. Back to the middle. And the bass, this is the bass flat. This is the bass half of what it could do there. And is that too much? I think it is. It's not very pleasant. Taking the bass down a little. There it is. And going back to flat. There it is flat. And taking it down the other way. That's removing some of the bass. And if I go and press a 100 hertz cut, that's with a 100 hertz cut, and you can hear what that does. Don't know why that's in there really. I think it's too high. Some desks have 75. I think that would be better. Anyway, it's at 100, but seems to do something strange to the sound as well. So I'm going to put that back to where we were. All right, let's try the hiss and the breath. Ethos. I'm going to bring the SM58 into the mix. Now I'm on the SM58. I'm on the SM58. I can hear there on the SM58, which I think is probably what people like, what I said before, that accentuation there. Try not to change my voice now, going from the SM58 to the 117. What about the S's on the SM58? 117. Yeah, so sharper on the 58 with that rise at the top there. Bring it in there on the 58. Bring it in on the 58. Bring it in on the 117. Bring it in on the 117. This kind of mid-range, maybe. Put my voice a bit higher. This is the 117 brought in. This is the 117 quite close. This is the 58 quite close. This is the 58 quite close. This is the 117. Way more open to my ears. Anyway, depends what you like. Low end between these two, and then I'll stick on the 117. Down in the 117, down on the 117, down on the 117, down on the 117, down on the 58, down on the 58, down on the 58, down on not the 117, down on the bottom with the 117, down on the bottom with the 117, down. I think you can hear the difference there. Up to you what you like. Let me carry on. The 117. I'm going to do all the pops and stuff now, I believe. It's been a while, so I have to look at my notes. Tone, I've kind of done that. Proximity, just going to speak a bit, take it away. You can hear what it's like if I take it away. Being a condenser, you can hear still picking up some there. Seems very even. Bring it a bit closer, bring it a bit closer, bring it a bit closer. You can hear very gently it does that. Bring it a bit closer, bring it a bit closer. All the time you can tell that it's closer. Bring it a bit closer, bringing it a bit closer, bring it a bit closer there as well. It's not that they jump, it's just when I mention it, but when I perceive, obviously it's quite a smooth. Bring it a bit closer, bring it a bit closer. Now, you'd have to be a little bit careful because the change to me seems to be more significant with the movement. Bring it a bit closer, yeah. Bring it a bit closer, 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 bring it right up to my lips, bring it right up to my lips. And if I reduce the bass, if you're the kind of person that likes to have it right in your mouth, I'm going to take some of the bass off, and then you can have it in your mouth with not so much of the proximity, obviously, but I think it works very nicely. I'm going to leave the flat round about there for most things, and then you can take it away for your screaming and shouting and bring it in a bit closer if you want some of that. So that seems to work very well to me. Going to be polar pattern, I'm sure. I've done this on one of the other videos, so supercardioid. Here it is on the front. Here it is on the front, coming round to the side, coming round to the side, coming round to the side, coming round to the side. Not much change there really so far. We didn't expect it, but tone's maintaining itself. Coming round to the side, coming. Now we start to hear the rejection coming round to the side, coming round to the side, and then all of a sudden, well, not that sudden, but you know, quite quickly it almost disappears. Coming round to the side. Of course, you can hear my breath noise, but you wouldn't get breath noise because you wouldn't be singing like that. It's just whether it picks up the sound, so it wouldn't be those pops and stuff, because it would just be whether it's picking up the drums and guitars and everything else around. Bring it round to the back there, bring it round still quite tight, bring it round still quite tight, start to get the leakage there, start to get the leakage there, start to get that lobe there. You get that lobe there going up a bit higher, so over a few frequencies it seems to me, there at the back, and then coming back round to that kind of bitch. If I'm there, then it's still got that rejection there. Not so much, yeah, still got that rejection, but not so much bass. The bass cuts more there, it seems to me. Coming round, coming round, coming round. Here, there. So I think if you've got monitors right in front, as with hypercardioids, I've got that lobe. So there's something, if you've got something round the back at that kind of frequency, you might expect that to be the frequency you've got to watch out for if you've got stuff there in front of you. Pops, handling noise, because I just heard myself do it. Pretty good. Let me check the SM58. The SM58 is good at this stuff. Well, it's lower. Don't know if it's any less, really. But it seems less intrusive because it hasn't got that higher frequency in there. But it does, the actual sound of that does remind me of the mic itself a bit. It's a bit so it's with this then stand-born noise. It's going to be very good. That's very well damped. So it's only really fingers kind of sticking to the not the covering. Well, you know, the barrel. So it's that noise, isn't it, which is coming through there. I do wonder about that. It's quite resonant. Whether that will be in the sound somewhat, who knows. Plosives. They say something about plosives, I think. Exceptional plosive protection. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of... Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Who do you think you're fooling? Who do you think you're fooling? Who do you think you're... If you're going to be clumsy, who do you think you're fooling? Susie, shoeshine girl, sitting in a shoeshine shop. Susie, shoeshine girl, sitting in a shoeshine shop. Very fine with no sibilants. If you've got a sibilant voice, I think as good as you're going to get if you don't want to start using EQ, because it hasn't got that lift at the top. Very natural sounding, it seems to me, just as I'm talking there. Yeah, who do you think you're fooling? Who do you think you're fooling? Well, Peter Piper I would say no worse than any others. And as I've said many times, what can you do? The more you put in there to stop that, the more you end up with the sound sounding like that. I've got rid of it now. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck. But what are you going to do? Self-noise. Well, I did notice when switching between these two, the SM58, the dynamic, of course. So I guess, turn it up a bit, SM58, I'm going to crank the gain quite a bit. So the gain on the desk now is pretty much on maximum. So I'm guessing that's the noise of the desk. It's a bit of a hum as well. No, so I'm guessing that's the noise of the desk. And then let me put it back down to a comparable level. I'll take it up a bit, the SM58. There's the SM58. And you can hear, obviously there's some hiss there from that. We're talking about live. And all of the condensers have that. I think that's one of the things of them. Back on the Ethos. Got a plane going overhead now, so summary. Tried it on various voices. What they said in the class, it got known as being the neutral microphone. I think we had the KMS 105, had a biodynamic M88. Maybe my friend Jenny, she happened to have brought her Sennheiser E965. And there might have been one other. I think the Earthworks 314. And we swapped it through several students, so they got to play with it a bit and at various mics. And I think it's through a Bose L1 Compact. And this one became known as the neutral one, as they couldn't remember which one they were. They weren't, that one, the neutral one, which is it's this one they've been referring to. So yes, I think that says something. Earthworks themselves on the box say, sounds like life. So again, I don't think there's anything tonally that makes itself known. So you can do that yourself, either with your voice or with EQ, if that's your thing. If you feel it gives you the options, it seems to me. I think I'd much rather do that than be lumbered with an EQ on a mic and then have to get rid of it. And I have found I do like the biodynamic ribbon mics, and I put it back in my bag to start using it again on some gigs. But I have noticed several times after a couple of gigs, I get a little bit tired of, it's nice at first, but I get a little bit tired of that thing, and I want to go back to clear and clean again, or white if you like. It's got a certain colour to it, and I just let me just refresh my palette with a sorbet, which would be a neutral microphone. So yeah, that's the thing. Of course, if you've got that mic and you say you like it and you haven't heard anything else, then you're going to stay with your shaped mic because you don't know anything else. And then when you get something else, you're not familiar with it, so it might be a bit like, so that's part of the difficulty with all these things. You really have to try them. But even as I'm speaking now, I think this would be fine for voiceovers. Let me go back on the Ethos. I think it would be fine for voiceovers. Very similar, isn't it? The Ethos has just got that little bit of space and air around it, which you may or may not notice depending on the system you've got, but it's much more expensive. So yeah, sounds like life. And okay, I don't mind that. But let's see if we can get the man out of retirement. We haven't seen him for a while. I think he broke his glasses, so he's got some different ones, but see if we can persuade him. Maybe you're poor, maybe you have wealth, maybe in demand, or maybe the baby on the shelf. Whatever your situation, there's one thing you should do. Reject all automation and let me work on you. Mr. Manual, automatic's not my style. I like to manually manipulate you. It's guaranteed to make you smile. Mr. Manual, automatic's not my style. They call me Mr. Manual, automatic's not my style. I like to manually manipulate you, guaranteed to make you smile. I like to manually manipulate you, guaranteed to make you manually manipulate you, guaranteed to make you smile. I like to manually manipulate you. It's guaranteed to make you smile. Yes. La facilitadora imparcial.